Some of you may be saying, Kyle, I know all the Perler colors, you can't show me anything new. Well, you've got some attitude, mister. Plus, you're wrong, because Perler's done it again. They've released a whole bunch of new colors that are currently coming out in stores. Today, we're going to take a look at them individually, see how they compare to our current colors, and how they shape and restructure our Perler palette. But these new colors aren't the only changes you may have noticed around here, my friends, because I'm in a new studio. That's right, my wife and I just bought a house, and we've been busy settling in. That's what I've been up to. All the packing and unpacking and organizing and reorganizing. But I'm happy to report it's finally starting to feel like home, especially with my workstation set up back here. Looking forward to giving you guys a tour soon. It's been a while since we've done one of those. But for now, let's take a look at these new colors, because we've got a lot to talk about. Introducing Fruit Punch, Denim, Mulberry, Cocoa, Sage, Orange Cream, Fuchsia, Stone, Slate Blue, Thistle, Dark Spruce, and Slime. First impressions, I take a look at the majority of this group, and the word that comes to mind is nature. This is a nature's palette because a lot of these colors are pretty dull. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm not saying boring. I'm saying dull because of how they've toned down the vibrancy on the hues, creating a more realistic shade. Dull as in somber, subdued, subtle, and faded. This is pretty exciting stuff, guys. I mean this genuinely. I look at this batch, and I see Perler growing up a little bit. These additions are much more natural and realistic than what we've had before, and you'll see a lot of that reflected in the names. Of course, some of these could still be considered bright, cartoony colors, but the fact is that most of them are toned down, to me, means that Perler is really embracing those artists, making this medium into a more mature and serious art form than we've seen in the past. Very cool stuff. Before we dive in, I should show you the system I use to organize my colors here. That's right, we're up to 2 full-size storage containers now. Remember when it was just 1? Then that little add-on? How far we've come. I have them organized by different hues, then going from dark to light. Black to white at the bottom, then we follow the rainbow with the reds, turns to pinks. The next line is oranges, turn to yellows. An entire row of greens. Then the green blues, followed by the blue greens. We went over these in my New Colors of 2019 video, so check that out for more details. Then the traditional blues, as they get more indigo. Then the violets with a pinkish tint, followed by violets with an indigo tint. Finally, the earth tones, browns, tans, etc. It's just good to know how my drawers here are organized, because I always try to incorporate new colors in where I think they fit best. Okay, first, let's look at those bright colors. Fuchsia. I would recommend this as a brighter and more vibrant version of plum, so I keep it with the violets, but it would probably fit in well with the pinks too. It's just more purple than red. Here's a pink for comparison, although raspberry could make a good shadow effect on it. Now we've got orange cream. First off, here's orange for comparison. It's obviously a bit lighter, but I'd say it's more comparable to apricot, which is what I've been using for a lighter orange. And it's actually pretty close to sand as well, just a bit warmer, like it's got a very light dash of red in there. Do you see what I mean? Like if you were using sand for a Caucasian skin tone and they went to the beach and got a little sunburnt, they would be orange cream. Fruit Punch is exactly what it sounds like, just a very intense red with a dash of pink. I'm currently keeping it between raspberry and rose, but it would also be a great shadow effect on magenta. I can just never find anything to use magenta for. It's so bright and intense, I tend to shy away from it. We'll see. Slime is pretty easy. It fits in perfectly just before prickly pear and sherbet. Pretty cool how we're getting this whole line of vibrant greenish yellow like this. We could keep going down with sour apple and kiwi lime. I bet we could do some really cool glowing effects with these. And it's funny to me that Slime, probably the brightest of the group, is still more subdued than usual and can act as a shading color. This is what I was originally talking about. These colors are taking their brighter, more cartoony counterparts and sort of opening the door for them to be in more realistic pieces. Take Mulberry. Fits in really well with similar colors like eggplant and raspberry, all of which make great shading colors for their lighter versions like plum and purple. Speaking of the violets, here's Newcomer Thistle, which I'm keeping next to Iris. See how it's almost like a purplish gray? I'm going to talk about that more in a minute, but keep that in mind. Gray seems to be the secret ingredient for a lot of these new colors. A more colorful version of Thistle would be Pastel Lavender for comparison here. Now here's our 2 new blues with Denim and Slate. Compare these to something like our classic light blue and pastel blue. They're obviously darker, but it's more so that they're just subtler and more faded, like a pair of denim blue jeans, you might say. And Slate is basically a bluish gray. Dark gray would be a great shading color for either of these, to be honest, as well as the darker blues, of course. Oh, and I did just want to show you Denim with Periwinkle here, and Slate with Blueberry Cream. I think they really complement each other nicely. Dark Spruce. Its closest comparison color has gotta be Forest Green. But this is what's interesting. Forest would be the darkest of the green-blue line, with Parrot Green, Lagoon, etc., while Dark Spruce would be the darkest color of the blue-green line, leading into turquoise and sky. Remember, I named those color branches by having the most dominant hue said first. Our good friend Teal, of course, is versatile enough to work in both, and provides a great stepping stone from Dark Spruce to turquoise. Sage is a really nice faded green. I've got it sitting at the top of Olive and Fern, no coincidence that they're all named after plants. Again, these colors are really filling in a more natural palette. So I've talked about the blue-greens and the green-blue lines, but this new batch really wants me to create a whole new line that would just be called Tinted Grays or something. Thistle is a violet gray, Denim and Slate are like blue grays, Sage is a green gray, which leads us to Newcomer Stone, which I consider a brownish gray. I do keep it down between dark gray and regular gray because while it's got an earthy quality to it, it's still more gray than brown. Our browns haven't been left out though, because check this out. Cocoa. This is a beautiful dark deep brown. It's even darker than our darkest classic brown. I love when we get new colors that help increase the shading spectrum. We've dug a little deeper into the earth with this one. As a reminder, here's all the earth tones. Cocoa, brown, gingerbread, light brown, tan, fawn, sand, and toasted marshmallow. Man, I remember when we just had brown, light brown, tan, and sand. I just can't get over how vast the Perler palette has gotten the past few years. Hopefully you found this video helpful, my friends. I made a new palette for us right here if you'd like to save it for yourself. That's the exact same palette I use in all my projects. Hopefully it comes in handy. Take care, lots of new stuff on the way.